it's time to get on to our movie review of the night. Once again, I've been looking forward to this movie for a while. Ladies and gentlemen, let's talk about Ford versus Ferrari. Yes, this movie stars Matt Damon and Christian Bale, and is directed by James Mangold. So this movie is based on the true events where Matt Damon plays real-life famous car mechanic racer Cheryl Kelby. Cheryl, sorry, Carol Shelby. God damn it, Shelby. We're just gonna call him Shelby because I can't get that right for some damn reason. And Christian Bale plays Ken Miles. Now this is based on a real event where the Ford Motor Company wanted to make a deal with Ferrari, but they basically stabbed them in the back, and Ford decided to counterattack by creating a race car that could beat Ferrari at the famous race, the Le Mans, which takes place in France. And they wanted to show Ferrari that they can contend with them, because back in those days, Ford mostly just made cars for the average American citizen, not race cars. This was a whole new thing Ford was doing. In order to win, they brought in Carroll Shelby, who was the only American at the time who had not only raced in Le Mans, but had won. And Carroll Shelby, after his racing days, is now just, now not just a mechanic. He makes high-end racing cars, just these sports cars. And he knows if he has to win, if he's going to win this, he needs the best driver he knows, which is Ken Miles. So let's get into this. First, we're going to talk about Matt Damon as Carroll Shelby. I didn't know much about Carroll Shelby. I've heard of him because of the famous custom car, the Shelby Ford Mustang Cobra. So it's one of the very few. I'm not a big car guy, and but I knew that much about him. I knew this guy was famous custom guy. Cars all up. Matt Damon does a good job as Carroll Shelby, because Carroll Shelby is a former racer, and he, just like Ken Miles, who played by Christian Bale, we'll get to in a minute, Shelby is a car guy to his soul. He's a racer to his soul. He's not just some guy selling. He's not some like car dealership dude. He loves cars. It's in his blood. He's got gasoline and oil in his blood. This is the kind of guy he is. And since then, he started his own company, Shelby American, where he does custom cars, like I said. But he's wanted to get back into racing because he kind of fell out of racing for reasons, that kind of forced him out. But yeah, and he has this balance where he's working with Ford Company. And remember, Ford is a business at the end of the day. So he had to strike this character is a balance between a man who loves cars, loves to race, loves going fast. It's religious to him, right? But he also strike the balance with like, well, he's running a company, and now he's working with one of the biggest companies in America, Ford. So he has to strike that balance where he's trying to be the racer, be the leader of this team, to put this Ford racing car together to get it ready for this big race in France, which is like the most famous race on the planet, the Le Mans. Which, by the way, Le Mans is also one of the alternative titles to this movie. And yeah, he's kind of like Carol. I keep saying it wrong. Carroll Shelby. Damn it. Carroll Shelby, he's got this cowboy attitude. He's got a cowboy hat on in so many scenes, and he's definitely talks like, my daddy told me back when I was a kid. There's one scene he's talking like that. And I just think Matt Damon did a really good job with this film, and this character in this role. You really believe that he's like struggling to have this balance between the business. How do I say this? How the company's being viewed has to be advertiser. Somebody advertiser friendly, we'll say, but also this guy who wants to make the best car ever that can win the biggest race. And then you have accompanying him is Christian Bale as Ken Miles. Ken Miles, just like Carroll Shelby, racer to his soul. He knows cars. He's like the only thing he loves besides his family is racing in cars. When he's in a car, he can tell that the car is talking to him, what's working, what's not working. He knows what's good and what's crap, and he won't be afraid to tell you, because that's his character. He's very blunt. He really has no filter, and that's something that Carroll Shelby has to work with him on, because they're working with this big company, Ford, and he's got to try to pull him back in certain areas and and other areas knowing when to let Ken just do his thing. And Christian Bale's great in this role. He's definitely my favorite character in the movie, Ken Miles, and he's blunt and mean at certain times, which can lead to some good funny moments. And he's definitely this character that like I said, loves cars, but he's also got his family. He's got his wife who loves him, very supportive of him, and he's got his son, played by Noah Jupe, who was this kid in Quiet Place. He was in A Quiet Place. That's where I know him from. Oh, and he was in Suburbicon too. Okay, good. Cool. Yeah, his son adores him. His son thinks he's the greatest guy in the world. And that's another thing for Ken Miles. He has to support his family because they've fallen on the hard times. And so it's this thing where he wants to be a good father, a good husband, but he also wants to be the best racer he can be. He wants to do things on his terms. He doesn't want to be held back. And you see that struggle going a lot through the film because we have the Ford company. Tracy Letts plays Henry Ford II, and we have Josh Lucas playing one of his executives, guy high up in the Ford company, I think his right-hand man, Leo Beebe. And that comes part of the problem with working with the Ford company because there's a lot of red tape, there's a lot of bureaucracy, there's a lot of things going to go through 20 guys before something can get approved, and that's something that's hinder Shelby and Miles in the film, where it's like they're just trying to be racers, they're just trying to do it, but they keep throwing these stipulations on them left and right. So this movie also could have had an alternate title, have been Ford versus Ford, because Ford is trying to win the race because they want to make the car company look great and show that we can make these race cars. We can make these, these hot rods and these muscle cars. But they're getting in their own way because they're so worried about their public image. And this is it's like Carol and Ken had a second enemy because they're going against Ferrari, which Ferrari was winning the Le Mans races for years at that point with their the Ferrari car. I mean, you don't know a lot about cars, but you've heard of Ferraris. You know they're high quality cars that can go just insane speeds. And that really could have been called Ford versus Ferrari and also versus Ford because they just keep getting in the way. So it's added this other layer of challenge for our protagonists to get over this stuff. And it gets frustrating at times where you're just waiting for the main characters to let loose on these like corporate idiots who like, oh, we should do this and that. And I'm like, if we do this and that, it's going to make the car worse. Or if we do this and that, it's going to make it harder for the win. So it's like they're not only going up against Ferrari, they're going up against the very people that hired them to win the damn race. It's really cool. I liked it a lot. And Josh Lucas, who plays, Leo Beebe, he plays the idiot ass that, it's like, bright white sparkly teeth, and he's like, smiling for the camera and everything. Meanwhile, he's a controlling asshole. He does it well. There's a few moments in the movie where he gets some, I'm going to say what happened. He gets some comeuppance, and I was like, oh my God, that's so satisfying. And then you also have Tracy Letts, who plays Henry Ford II, who you can tell he's a very insecure guy. He plays it well. It's not directly, but, he's like, he owns Ford, one of the biggest car companies in America. And yet you can tell he's really not a car guy. He is a salesman, which adds to the whole getting in the way of our main characters trying to build the best car they can and all this other stuff. And I really liked it. I did not look up information on this movie ahead of time because I didn't want to find out whether or not they win the race at the end, right? I'm sure there's a lot of people out there who you're car people and or you're racing fans or whatever, and you may already know, but I didn't want to know because I wanted that tension to build. I want that unknown factor to happen for me. So if you haven't seen the movie yet and you don't know what happened in real life, because it's all based on real events, I recommend not looking up the real world events until maybe after the movie if you want to compare what they may have changed in the film from the real life events, because I part of the tension was wondering, are they going to win? How this is going to go down? And the racing scenes are great. They really keep you on the edge of your seat. It's very subtle. It's very subtle, but there are certain scenes where I'm pretty sure they may have used CGI cars, or maybe they used CGI to enhance certain scenes. But it's so subtle, it's so well done, and they blend it well too with the real cars racing around, and maybe subtle uses of CG in there. And it works really well. It really there's some things like, no, that's real. No. It was so well done. It was like in the first Jurassic Park movie when they switched between the CGI dinosaurs, the animatronic dinosaurs. It's a good back and forth blending, and it really helps the races so they can do more dangerous stuff without, recreating certain crashes that happened during the race and other races they were involved in before the big one. So the race car scenes, just well done. I was so happy with it. So, Yeah, and it is a bit of a long movie. It's a 2.5 hour film, but it is well paced. I never felt like things were dragging or moving too fast, or which is funny. We're in a race car movie, so moving too fast. But no, I was never bored. I mean, the movie's got good characters. I mean, everybody does a great job. From Christian Bale, Matt Damon, John Bernthal is in the movie as Lee Iacocca, who some guy I had heard about before because I was watching this documentary on History Channel about the cars in America, how these companies rose up. And I heard about him. He's the guy that puts the idea to the Ford company about we need to stop making these cars for these family cars, and we need to start making cars with big, powerful engines and muscle. So this is kind of this whole thing kind of springboarded off of his idea. I think it was done, from what I understand, it may have been a little different in real life than how it was presented in the film, but it's fine. John Bernthal, he does a great job in the movie as one of the supporting cast characters. Everybody, Christian Bale, John Bernthal, Matt Damon, Josh Lucas, Noah Jupe, I hope I'm saying that right. Ray McKinnon is in this film. He's one of those actors that he's been in a little bit of everything. He's one of those guys you probably know his face. You know his face, but you may not know his name. He's in this film. He does a damn good job too. I was just very satisfied with everybody in the film. James Mangold did a great job. I've been looking forward to this movie ever since I saw the first trailer, and I gotta say, I wasn't disappointed at all. I'm trying to think of at least one criticism I have, because I want to be fair and balanced. I can't think of anything right now. I want to be. I love this movie so much. I think this movie is great. So it's going to be no surprise that, do I or do I not recommend this film? Yes, I recommend Ford v Ferrari, or Ford versus Ferrari. Why are we just doing V now? What happened to the VS? What happened to that? But yes, I do. I'm giving it a big recommendation. If you're planning to go see a movie this weekend, I recommend Ford versus Ferrari. It is just great. I think this is definitely going to get some award nominations. We'll see in the next coming months. Like I said, I love this film. It did not disappoint me. Damn good film. So please go check it out. Hey everybody, hope you enjoyed that clip. We live stream every Thursday night on our Twitch channel, and of course check us out on the River's Edge Online Radio Network.